Okay, everybody, now we're going to discuss a new topic for Debruary, one that's very, very popular. I think that needs to be addressed because a lot of women confuse these kinds of relationships and invest money, emotion, and time in situations that they really shouldn't be putting themselves into. And what we're talking about is a real relationship versus what I call a sex ship. Okay, they're completely different things. And we're going to talk about those because that's what we do. All right, so what do you think is the reason why young women get so confused? Because, you know, they be getting the little, what we call the eggplant. The eggplant is good. And so suddenly they in love and they think, oh, you know, this is a guy that's going to be my boyfriend. This is going to be my man. And we're going to live happily ever after. And this is just like the thing. And they don't seem to understand, okay, but that's not really a relationship. So what tips do you have for them to be able to discern the difference?
Well, it's whatever you started out as. If the guy has already told you, or the female, that they don't want anything serious, and you continue on with this person, and you spend time with them, and a lot of times people fall into bed way too soon, and they don't know each other, and that's how they end up in those sex ships. Because, you know, just because a guy's coming over your house and you getting calls after 2 a.m., that should let you know where you are right then and there. But I think that having a agreement on where you are is very important when you meet someone. Finding out what you all are looking for from each other, not the general what are you looking for in a relationship, because that may not, you may not even be in that category to answer that question. So finding out, you know, where their head is at, where your head is at, and what you want from each other, so there's no room for error. On the flip side, as you were just saying, when the eggplant is good and the girls be like, oh, I just want to be your friend, and then they get sprung, and then they want more than that. So it's very important to know where you stand with each other and not expect more if you agree to less.
Right.
Unless both parties have, you know, taken the stance that they want more.
Yep, you gotta have that conversation. You have to be on the same page. And it seems like a lot of people, you know, the women, they make assumptions. Well, we were, quote, doing everything that a couple does, but they've never had the conversation that you just suggested, you know, and I tell them the same thing. You got to know what it is that he wants in his woman, or if he's even looking for one, and are you prepared to give it to him the way he wants it, when he wants it, all stuff. And, you know, are you guys on the same timetable? I mean, sometimes they talk about, well, yeah, you know, this is what I want marriage and this and that, and they want it, but they're talking about in like 2027. They're not talking about now, and you don't take the time to discern what he's talking about, and you paint yourself into a picture, you're going to get your feelings hurt and your face cracked.
It's important not to fall into situationships. And the way you can alleviate that is, I'm old school. I don't care how long I've known someone or how long I've dealt with them. They can't assume they're my man. You know, and then I'll say, well, we never talked about that. And the guy will be like, well, you're making me feel like I'm in the 6th grade. Would you be my woman? I mean, pretty much, you know, if that's what you want from me, that's what you have to ask.
That's what I say. You know, don't be just making assumptions. Another game that they play too, like they come in the gate, right? They come in the door right away. And they say, well, I want you to be my woman. I want you to be my girlfriend. And without any kind of real time spent with this guy, you don't really know who this is you allegedly committing to. You agree to it, right? Okay, now, normally, a lot of women like, I only want to sleep with somebody who's my boyfriend, right? Commitment. So there we go, commitment coming right up. And but you have to take the time to understand. Okay, well, what am I committing to? Who is this person? You know, what does committing to him really mean? Are we on the same page? But you know, you steady jumping into bed with him and getting your feelings involved in a situation where you don't really have any information about this guy. So I don't know. I just be looking at like, what are you guys doing?
Take the time to get to know someone. Unfortunately, you never truly know who someone is until you live with them. And then it'll knock your socks off sometimes.
You're like, what have I done?
But in the interim, take your time, go on dates, get to know each other, enjoy each other's company without putting any labels on anything until that guy asks you, or if that girl asks you for more. Be honest. Say, yeah, I'd like to explore that avenue, or no, I'm not interested in you that way. And I know a lot of people might think that's hurtful, but to me, I prefer a man be honest with me.
And most of them will if you ask them directly. The women a lot of times don't want to ask because they're afraid of the answer.
Oh,
yeah, they don't want to ask that, you know, and then they come up with that. Well, you know, but we were, you know, he treated me like we were, and we this and that, but you didn't have a conversation. So no matter how he acted towards you, no matter how many times you slept together, no matter how many times you got pregnant, this and that, if you guys haven't had a conversation about what you two are doing and made a mutual agreement, then there's a big piece of this relationship missing, and you should not be investing yourself in a situation like that. You have the time, even when you had a conversation, maybe on some BS, so you know.
Yeah, because verbal agreements are just that. They're a verbal agreement. And you cannot hold someone hostage in a relationship. It's something that both parties need to want, and it's something you have to work for. So if you're in this instant gratification, internet, presto, changeo, everything at your fingertips era of life we're in today, slow down, take time, get to know each other, make sure you're compatible, because just some things that are good to you is not good for you. And it's best to get to know someone than to find that out the hard way.
Now let's talk about some of the key points in how you can know that you have a situationship versus a real relationship where there's mutual investment. It got to be mutual, because a lot of you guys want to invest. You cook and clean, do all the stuff for the dude, but you're not looking for how he's investing in you, and you're not paying attention to that part. So if a man is just about the eggplant, what are some of the things that the woman should be looking for to know the difference?
Have you ever been to his house before? Have you met any of his close friends or family? Do you go to the movies together, or is all your activities indoors in your home or his, normally in the bedroom?
And after 10 p.m.
or after 2 a.m.
Oh, I know. Oh my God. And the conversations from this, you know, most of the conversations, the majority of the conversations is like, how are you doing? Can I come through? What you cooking? Can I come through? What you doing tonight? Want to come over?
Do you even know his last name? Do you know his middle name?
Do you know his real name? Let's
Do you know if he's married or not? If you've
I've been with some woman.
If you've never been to his house, chances are you're the side chick.
And yeah, the situationship chick. Because sometimes it's not even like all the women are side chicks. I mean, he don't have like, I mean, you know, he's not really with any of them. Mm-hmm. They're just all side chicks or situationships or whatever. You know, like 3 or 4 of them, and just rotate through. So, I mean, you could be married or with somebody, but in many instances, he just, you know, just single like a tumbleweed. And just rolling around, just rolling.
A tumbleweed will always tumble with the married or not.
Well, that's a good point too. Because I think, you know, and then also, like, if you need him, he's never there. He's never there when you need him. You need to help move. You need something fixed. You need something put together at your house. You need him to invest some time. A lot of them will promise that they're going to do it. They'll say, yeah, I'll be there. And then they don't show up. They make you promises and they don't follow through. They say, I'm going to do something, but it never actually happens. If you have something like that going on, please reevaluate, because it sounds like you got also a situationship and not a real relationship, because a man who, is about you is there for you. And the guy who leaves you hanging by yourself all the time to do everything by yourself, that means you are a single woman on your own. That's what that means.
But you're single. If you're not married, you're single.
Well, you know what I mean. But I mean, you could still be like in a committed relationship that's going towards that, before you actually say that I do. He's going to start acting like your mate before it actually happens. I mean, the feeling is there. I think a lot of people feel like, well, once we get married, it's going to be different. Walking down the aisle and saying I do does not change a man. He changes himself before you get married. And so you should be looking for those kind of caretaking behaviors, before you actually say I do. It's not going to match, dink because he said I do. Then he turns around from the, what they call it, the pulpit, and now all of a sudden he's this wonderful caretaking, giving, supportive person. It doesn't happen like that. So I think a lot of women, they, as we talked about earlier, they have no model, for how a man would do something like that. And so they don't even know to look for it. They don't even know what that means to have somebody to come through for you like that. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the truth of the matter is, don't get me wrong, there are still good men in this world.
And both of them.
And a lot of times what I tell my daughters, my nieces, if a man does not have a good relationship with his mother, he is not going to treat you good. So you need to be able to witness the relationships within the family, to know how he's going to treat you. How did he treat his grandmother? How does he treat his mother? Women nowadays, we must step up and teach our sons how to love. I think a lot of men really, they don't have a clue what love
That's
is.
very true.
If they had mothers who were hands off and didn't teach them how to love a woman through the relationship that she had with her son. That's why there's some good guys here that some of the ladies down the road, when my grandsons get old enough, they'll get a good man. It takes a village to raise a child, literally. And we need to get back to the point where we're teaching our young men how to be men instead of complaining about what black men don't do. Raise your young black male to become a law-abiding citizen who knows how to love his woman and how to be a good father. And we have the power to make that change.
And accountability and responsibility, I think, are two other things that are very missing in young men today. And that starts at home. They do some jacked up stuff. You make them be accountable for it. Don't make excuses for them, and give them responsibilities. They ought to be, helping do things around the house, and they need to have jobs. And I'm a firm believer that, one thing that I really hate is when a boy wants to start dating and taking girls out and stuff. The mother's giving them money to do that. It's basically like you pimping your mother, because you get money from one woman to give to another. You know what I mean? That's like, by the time you want to do all of that, you need to have a job and do stuff like a young man should. You earn the money to take out the woman that you want to get with. That should be coming from your mama.
On the flip side, though, that gets back to what I'm saying about how a grandmother especially will want her grandsons to know the role of a male. And a lot of times that's why they do it, because they're trying to teach them how they should be treating a woman. And that's where it's up to us as black women to change all this BS of bend over, make it clap, my girls with my girlfriend and they kissing and all of that nonsense. We have the ability to change that, and it has to start within our own homes with our own sons. Our sons' will then, put that into their sons. And if you're still around, you're going to take a hand in that as well, of teaching them how to love. It's very important. A lot of people believe that you shouldn't hug a young black boy or teenager. And my grandkids, they'll tell you, I kiss them to death, hug them to death. I want them to know.
I think they need affection more at that age because they're not getting it. And by the time they start getting it from girls, and it's got a different tone to it. But they just need just plain old affection, and then they will learn to be able to give that to women. Just plain affection without any expectations of anything more coming of it.
Right.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of men tell their wives or significant others, stop babying him. He got to be a man. Being a man does not mean that you don't receive love and affection. And that's where the whole sexship versus relationship comes in at, because if that young man was not loved and shown what a regular love from a parent is, they're going to be really confused when they get introduced to the other side of things. So it's up to us. I would say that's one thing that I will take onus on, is teaching my sons, my grandsons, how to love a woman.
That's important. So, and I think also for, on the flip side of that, we have to teach young girls the difference between a man whose interest in you is legitimate and a man whose interest in you is more predatory. And, everything that looks like love isn't. And so a lot of young women, are just starved for that kind of affection. And the predators use that hunger and the lack of a dad and lack of that kind of non-sexual affection against them. So we have to, stay cognizant of that as moms and aunts and grandmothers and older sisters and everything, to provide that with our young growing up ladies too. Like my grandmother used to always hug and kiss on us, grandfather and everything. So I always had a lot of that kind of affection, so I wasn't hungry for it like a lot of my friends were as teenagers. And they got them into some real bad situations because they just wanted somebody to hug them.
Yeah. And then too, also with our daughters, I always bought my daughters their first roses for their birthdays as they got older. Valentine's Day, I'd buy them candy, a bouquet of roses, a little stuffed animal. I'm their mother. That's teaching them how they should be treated. And once again, I'll say it's up to us. We have the ability to change this madness.
As women, and we sure do. So that, I hope, gives you something to think about, ladies who might be questioning what kind of thing you have going on with the guy. Why you can't find him, why he doesn't call you, why he leaves you hanging, why he doesn't support and encourage you the way that you want him to, the way that you ask him to repeatedly. You might want to rethink this and really kind of understand that you have a situationship. Even if it's been going on for years, it's not a relationship.
Yeah. It turns into a multiple year booty call that never ends.
Oh my God. So thank you guys for listening to another Deb and Joy video. We'll have plenty more for you coming up. At least when something that you guys really enjoy hearing us talk our smack. And sometimes, the best conversations that we have are not on camera. But we'll try to do better in getting you some of the topics that you want to hear. If you have something that you're really interested in having us address, send it in to survivingdating@gmail.com and make the subject line Deb and Joy, and we will put it on our agenda. Okay, thanks very much. I'll talk to you real soon.